Now, like, to move on to that map of Atlantis that David looked at for me, can you see the map?
It wasn't mine, yes.
So, like, does it look correct at all? Like, where I have the mainland portion, do any of the borders need to be pushed out or pulled in any?
The north would have to be pulled in, yes. You're correct in that there was a land bridge, yes. However, there also was a land bridge stretching over to what you consider today Greenland, yes. Various land bridges. However,
Okay.
those land bridges, those were chains of islands to a large degree, yes. The whole northern part of Atlantis, just like the southwest, yes, where you put in various islands with letters, correct?
Right.
Similar, the north is scattered various islands.
Okay.
They conduct the land bridges with different parts of continents that are not like Greenland or Iceland, right? The north of the main island is not far from Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Okay. Where I have the number two, like the reason I put that little peninsula or whatever there was because the way the elevation is currently, it looks like it rises a little bit there. Is that correct?
What are you considering rising?
Well, like, I mean, if you consider like the elevation of the ocean floor, like where I have number two, like there are some hills or mountains or whatever you would call it. So basically, I assumed that like that area would have had a higher elevation during the time of Atlantis. So basically, was that area where I have number two there correct?
Yes,
Or
the
was that
idea of this particular what you consider time frame, yes.
okay?
But
Um,
remember, the island existed for very long, and there were various alterations besides just sinking during the course of its existence.
so three, like where I have three and four, does that need to be pulled in or pushed out?
Seems somewhat accurate.
Uh, okay. Where I have the North Capital and the South Capital, I don't know what the actual names of these cities are, but like that's just something Metax and you had mentioned. Are those locations correct, roughly?
For what you would consider a capital today, yes, somewhat. There was
Both of
another
them?
city was in this was the A, yes? It's not Atlanta, but another city was named A. That would be considered perhaps southern capital, something like this, yes?
I didn't hear that part. What did you say about A?
Another city was the name was the letter A, yes?
Oh, huh. Where was that located?
What you would consider south.
Okay.
Yes?
So is the North Capital also in roughly the right position?
Atlanta, yes?
Well, I thought like I thought Atlanta was like right in the middle of where the three tectonic plates are, and then somewhere to the northwest of Atlanta was another major city.
Where again there are nature city from. As
Say
far
that
as
one more.
we're concerned, the main capital was the Atlanta idea, yes?
Okay, well, yeah, maybe it's not a capital, but the city. Like, was there an actual city where I identified North Capital?
A settlement, whether, yes, if you wish to call it a capital, or that was also more an island, yes, of its own.
Okay,
So
okay,
11, 12, 1, for example, yes,
uh-huh.
would be more scattered island like the letter idea. You have to put the other groups to the south, right?
Yeah, like right. Yeah, now speaking of those were just like kind of randomly drawn by me based on the elevation of the seafloor seeming to rise a little bit. Are any of those island locations correct?
The F, yes.
Okay. Was
The
it
Bermuda Triangle, obviously, also, yes.
uh
The sea, yes.
Right, right. Like, so Island A, was it roughly in that shape?
No, more connected
Uh,
to the B idea further upwards next to the Florida region, but stretching further in the Atlantic. Also, remember, sea levels falling and rising over the course of producer time, yes? Some of those
oh,
islands were bigger or smaller, depends what time increment you're referring to.
right, right. Um, okay, well, to move on to some other questions then,
Yes, you could
I,
connect, for example, also the 9 was the 1, yes? Or even a little
uh,
bit lower than the 1 connection with the 9, to have the main island, yes?
okay,
The north side part of Atlantis was more under the idea of scattered islands just like the west. But
right,
again,
right,
we're referring to a particular time frame now where Atlantis was mostly west of northern Africa and southern Europe, not so much of northern Europe. And in one other increment, it was also stretching further south beneath 6. But again, different increments of time, sea level different, therefore, various of the smaller islands that could be considered part of the Atlantean hemisphere, yes, were underwater. Sometimes
right,
some were upper, sometimes others were under, due to various circumstances.
right, right. Okay, yeah, I'll update the map and send an updated copy, like for you to look at in the future and maybe give me some more corrections. But all right, to move on, um,
Yes,
um, I know that Hawaii is a remnant of the east coast of Mu, but can you say how far west the continent extended? Was Guam or the Philippines part of it?
in some points, yes. Guam, certainly. However, same applies, depends what time frame you're referring to. Also, larger part of what you consider today the Americas were also part of Mu. Of the state, yes?
Right, right. Um,
Also parts of Southwestern Asia, yes?
right.
Stretching all the way over there. However, keep in mind, we're referring here to empires, not just one single island.
Right, right. Yeah, I
And they
understand.
colonized various other parts of Oceania or Asia, yes?
Hmm.
But if you're referring to the main big island, it was mostly in the middle of the Pacific, and other smaller islands could be considered a part of it, yes. But it doesn't mean that they were necessarily part of one big central island.
So did the one big central island extend as far south as the Solomon Islands and Fiji?
Solomon Islands, yes. The Eastern Islands was certainly a part of it, yes.
Part of the mainland continent?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Was it like some big peninsula stretched all the way there, or was the entire continent more round shaped?
How does one exclude the other? Yes, it was very round shaped, however, there were certain parts of it stretching further, again larger bridges. We're looking to what's mine for the correct English term. Like a half island, yes? Like a part of the mainland that stretches further out, but it's almost disconnected because there's only a small, again, land bridge. That's however
Yeah, that's what I meant by
connected, yes.
peninsula. Like, yeah,
Yes.
like Florida. Um, okay. So did Mu and Lemuria have capital cities?
We can't give you a name at this point because there are various, but yes, they had a center at least. An urban area.
Where was the capital city of Mu located? Like, was it in the center or towards the north, south, east, or west?
Perhaps more to the south. Again, depends on what timing run you're referring to, as far as how big the island was, therefore which parts were over water before altering, which parts would be considered further north, south, west, or east, right? Hawaii,
Right.
for example, the far east.
Right. Um, so same question for Lemuria. Where was its capital located?
Since you're having exact map thrown out, yes. West of the Y, yes. Like, not quite a straight line, a little bit further to the south.
I'm confused. Like, I thought Lemuria was between Madagascar, Australia, and Sri Lanka.
Yes, we thought you referred to Mo.
Oh, I meant like, where was the capital of Lemuria located?
We're talking about the continent of Mo, the bigger one in the Pacific, right?
Uh-huh.
The other one, as far as we're aware, was much differently shaped. It was almost shaped like a hammerhead shark,
Right.
and therefore the capital was much further to the south of the entire continent from what we would call such.
Okay. Can you say what caused Mu to sink?
Numerous, what you might consider natural disaster, but there was also conflicting and near war between those continents. What we're aware of would be shared previously were earthquakes, also meteorite hitting, yes.
Uh-huh.
However, there was also the activity of misuse for the consider technology and preparedness. We were present in a particular increment of your military's history where we don't have all the details. Simply because we were as involved there.
Okay.
Our main interest was our species that was seen on the planet, not yours, and the civilization that was caused by yours.
Right. All right. Was Atlantis really founded by Poseidon and ruled over by him and his sons, like Plato claims?
One name. Enki would be another, yes?
So these were the same person,
Yes.
Enki and Poseidon? Okay.
Different
Um,
mythologies and person founded, well, the landmass was there, but the empire, the civilization that formed them, yes, perhaps. However, those people also left in the meantime under government, etc. Those entities you're referring to as the Anunnaki, right, have been here much earlier than what you imagine. You were your species on this planet, what you consider perhaps hairless monkeys, yes, or what we would see as such, are older on what you're being taught. And also genetic manipulations by such entities have been much earlier on. Our species coexisted for quite a while. Our, what you consider a dinosaur project with what you consider early hominids.
right. Um, so who was Poseidon or Enki really? Where did he come from?
One of the members you consider the Anunnaki, yes. This was a conglomeration of various hairless monkey races, and this particular strain also some reptilian DNA, yes? The Enki Poseidon strain. However, there are also many different particular human races that were referred to as this one particular group. You could turn the Anunnaki, yes? This was simply one plotline of such that was more inclined to use what you consider genetic manipulation.
Right, right,
And then of course the whole idea comes in of them needing to mine certain, not just gold, various what you consider precious metals or fossil fuels or whatever you refer to today.
right. Okay. Now about the capital of Atlantis. I know it was built in concentric rings with moats of water between them. But can you tell me like why it was built this way and what was at the center of the rings?
The center would then be like a something like the Acropolis in terms of structure. The reason it was built that way is because the way the island was structured.
Can you elaborate?
Naturally, is how the island was formed.
So there were natural rings at the location of Atlantis? I mean, of
Originally,
Atlanta?
yes, but they were also terraformed to some degree to make them look more symmetric.
Okay, cool.
Again, referring to a certain time period.
Right, right,
Again, and Atlantis underwent changes during its course of history.
right. Um, Now, did the Atlanteans really receive advanced technology from interterrestrials?
Certainly from extraterrestrials, and likely some could be considered interterrestrials also, yes. Some of them are
Uh-huh.
also closely related. Some of them also went underground when the cataclysm happened, but most of them either went extinct or mixed with the population of the the hominids that existed on the European peninsula at the time to a large degree, and northwestern Africa.
Okay. Um, Metax mentioned that there was an advent of extraterrestrial visitors who gave them technology. Were these visitors the refugees from Mars?
Could you repeat the word? An event, an advent?
Yeah, that's the word Metax used, advent.
Yes, very well. The idea is first Harris monkeys, yes, traveling from our star system, being the refugees first and foremost lost, yes, arriving what you would say a Maldek, for example, today, what's only left the restaurant built off, right? After the
Right.
cataclysm there, they also, well, before the cataclysm, they also colonized other planets such as Mars and Earth. Then after the cataclysm happened, they then realized they had to stay on the colonies that produced there. Some also went to Venus, yes, where today most of them still reside. From what we can tell, the most produced are purest forms, the others either mixed with the Earth population, or are races on Mars, or simply went extinct in the cataclysm event. And their prior newfound homes called Maldek was not existing very long, so to speak. Shortly after there was another meteorite impact and a war between those that were on Maldek and those that were on Earth because they had conflict with each other.
Okay. Um, were these refugees the ones who established the priestly caste in Atlantis, which evolved into the Illuminati group we have today?
Oversimplification. A lot of those what are refugees from there simply lived in large pockets on Atlantis peacefully with the population, yes?
Uh huh.
Many of them mixed with the people that were there, yes? We're not sure exactly what we need to share is valuable to your question, but the idea is what you consider an Illuminati, yes, is a very particular genetic line, very particular genetic lineage, and also intermarried only with each other for a long time. However, many of the people that landed on Earth that came from what you consider the Maldek, yes, or
Uh-huh.
Mars for that matter, they came to this planet approximately 1 million years ago, right?
Right.
A little bit later. Not quite, but approximately. Again, the Maldek civilization did not exist very long. They landed there, lived there for quite a long while, considering Earth's history, but from our perspective, not long, for perhaps 100,000 years or more. And then there was this whole gene splicing idea, yes? They conducted their experiments on Earth, right? So it's not like it's
Okay.
just one bloodline always kept pure and that's Illuminati. They decided to mess with your ancestors, right? You're aware. You're all to some degree mixed, yes? The original hominids which were early and lived together with the dinosaurs no longer exist, they went extinct. What still exists are various genetic lineages that intermix, this one perhaps being the last one, approximately a million years ago it had a great impact. Afterwards, just smaller groups that here and there had some gene testing. It was the last big experiment from what we're aware of, right? And
Right.
they
Okay.
largely mixed what we consider today Europeans, yes? However, their own offspring, and also mixed with other groups in Central Africa and other regions of the Earth, right? So it's hard to tell where exactly their genetic heritage went. Yes, it went all over the place, so to speak. Their phenotype, as you're calling it, just came out differently in different groups. And yes, some decide to keep their bloodline more pure, like for example, the Humani grouping, and therefore consider themselves fit to rule. But there are also other groups that consider themselves fit to rule for other particular reasons, such as genetic lineages, that then later mix with them to form a new priest caste.
Okay.
Your history, particularly the last million years, is rather complicated when it comes to politics because there's so much secrecy. Before it was much more open. Simply because
Right.
your population was intellectually capable of understanding what was going on anyway. Right? And
Right.
considered everything God that came from the sky. Because that's what we were being taught by the first people, the so-called Anunnaki that came here and programmed them your genetics to begin with.
Right. I see. Can you share what other names the Illuminati went by between their time in Atlantis and today? Like, for example, were they the same thing as the Knights Templar?
No. That's a group that realized what was going on and that were then corrupted. Well, from your perspective, likely. They
Okay.
became the Freemasons later on, right?
Okay. I see.
There was the official event, yes, of the 13th, yes. You're aware if you're still having your unlucky number 13 because of this, right?
Right. Okay.
After the event, they were changed, went underground, and turned to something else. But again, that's only half the story. There's always been this back and forth on your between different secret societies that you like to call some evil and some others good, but really, they all just have their own agenda.
Right.
No crew in the entire universe out just to hurt other people for the sake of it, yes? And even those that are operating similar to a mosquito. They are just sucking energy because that's their way of survival. While others spread what you would, or the airy ferrets would like to call goodness. But they're also just spreading what they consider correct over others, yes? It's all a matter of perspective. And then you get all the different species and the races and groupings. They also have their own agenda, cooperating with each other, etc., etc. Just reminding you, there's not just one monolithic evil and one monolithic good, yes?
Right. Right.
And also not just the grey area in between. Sometimes the uttermost extreme for one side is just the middle for another perspective. Depends how you look at things. And the so-called Illuminati is just one group doing their own thing. Yes, child rape, sacrifice, cannibalism is perhaps considered very dark for some of you, yes? But then again, what are you doing with some other species on your world? Some others might look at it in a similar fashion. Always depends on your perspective, right?
Right. I got you. Okay.
Right.
Now another question I have. You had said to someone else that the Atlanteans were given uranium and taught how to enrich it for peaceful purposes, but this was like giving a machine gun to a monkey because they later used it to build nuclear bombs. Who exactly gave this to them? Was it the Federation?
Likely, some of the groups in the Federation today were also heavily involved with the Anunnaki, right? So the original idea was, after there was just primitive people on Earth, yes, they were just left unattended, so to speak, after the gene splicing happened. The original two races that lived on Earth that were considered Harris monkey, that had went extinct or was entirely correct. Well, one of them perhaps could be related to the Australian Aborigines to some degree, genetically speaking, or at least looks-wise to some degree, but not quite, yes. They're once perhaps similar to the Native Americans to some degree. Oversimplification here, of course, not like they're blood relatives. You would just be reminded of them looking at them when extinct. Then you had a new one was mixed between those and with very extraterrestrial genetics. So, some consider therefore this gene experiment to be only good for slavery, that's what it was created for. Also various different races that were created for, particularly in Africa, to go mining, yes? Their main purpose. No one here why anyone would give those entities their nuclear bombs. That's not how it happened. They were left unattended. Then they mutate, like the Darwin person thought, yes, that literally happened, but there are years that was not the only thing that happened in human evolution. It was just one stage that happened over millions of years, correct? So, you must remember time frames there are between the creation of such a new race and the idea of giving them technology. Then you had many millions of years until what we previously referred to, the refugee idea, yes, that mixed in their genetics again with the people when they landed Atlantis, also the experiment they also had in northwestern Africa, right? And then the offspring of that was the group that was given, for example, uranium, etc., which, by the way, is still used by many spacefaring civilizations for their ships, yes, to power an anti-gravity system. That's also what uranium is used for to a large degree, not for building bombs. That's what nuclear energy is usually used for, much cleaner than the way it was used then on Earth to build bombs. This was not intentionally given to them to build bombs. Their idea is that was more, again, but I have to explain their idea of how the human evolution came about to begin with. The different groups that were created through gene splicing did not. One moment. We're also trying to send you some ideas while we're speaking verbally and might make it clearer.
Okay.
Their ideas. You have many different extraterrestrial races and species sitting at the table, say, let's create the human species, correct? On Earth. Let's populate this planet. There are your from your religions also, yes? And with religions, there also be your ancient Mesopotamian records that many more religions copied from, correct? Or Egyptian.
Right.
Those were also already copied of much older sources, Yes? So some of them are also faulted. It's not like their idea, we just all get together and say, let's create humans. It was more their idea, some put their genetics in, then millions of years passed, somebody else manipulated it, etc., 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 correct? So, then the last idea was many just left their project unattended. We don't need the slaves anymore to whack the mines, just leave them there, just kill them all off, or, well, now there are still a few left, never mind, let's just leave it the way it is and just go. Then people on Earth started worshipping people from the sky because that's all they knew to do, right? They didn't have memory who they were before they were gene spliced and manipulated, etc. in laboratories. Then, another group came that landed on Mars and Earth, that then went on to Venus, yes? They then manipulated DNA again on Earth, but only a group of them, another group did not approve of this. Because some of the Egyptian records, yes, we will find the idea of mutants, yes? Chimeras, correct?
Right.
Is also dating back to the time when they just discovered gene splicing and played around with it. Therefore, they didn't approve of it, so they had to be go underground. And then the groups that went underground, did this underground, also were not allowed to conduct those experiments in the public, therefore it was a political hot topic, yes? That's where you get the whole idea of race mixing, yes? Miscegenation being a crime also on your own planet for a long time, correct? In many cultures, because you are programmed in a way in your very early ages, your early stage, particularly in the Central Africa idea when those experiments happened, that certain groups were supposed to do certain work, others were supposed to do certain other tasks, right? And if you mix those tasks with those races, then you get another offspring that doesn't function as they're supposed to. But that comes from the Anunnaki. Then you have this other group that just want to see what happens if they mix their own DNA with the Earthlings. Because before that, it was not possible to create offspring because there was too much of a genetic difference, right? Like if you would try to have a child with a monkey, for example, right? You could have sex, but you couldn't have an offspring, right?
Right.
However, then there's similarity between this race that was created through gene splicing, right? On Earth, that was somewhat more similar to this new group that have arrived as refugees after Baltic also got blown up, that originally came from our solar system, right? This group then had this part of what you would consider your most similar ancestor to some degree. They still have much different genetics than you, but you would already recognize yourself in them. This group then was secluded from the others, and then the whole idea was you are existing because we were actually supposed to splice the genes of this older hominid group before in Central Africa, but we did it anyway, so we broke the rule, but that's okay. But you now may not break the rule and mix with your ancestors, so to speak, right? Then the whole idea was this group was sent up to a different region, which later in perhaps would be northwestern Africa, southwestern Europe. This whole region was split off. Then the idea, okay, now we are creating something new, like perhaps like a pet, to put it, perhaps offensive to many your word, but essentially what was what you're looking at. They might not have considered it such, but as we're looking at it from outside, it looked somewhat like a pet, or you're having this idea from your own slavery on your continent, right? And Uncle Tom, correct?
Right.
You believe there's a racial slur, whatever, from your own culture, right? For those that when they're considered fit enough still slaves, but they stay in the vicinity. That's basically your closest ancestor, to put it mildly, right? Then, of course, you had a group that was much older in Central Africa and was perhaps more naturally evolved, because they also had a mutation happened like the Darwin person sort, from the group that existed for millions of years on Earth already. Now, you had some groups, some peoples on Earth, right, that had a certain phenotype of similar to yours. And then their very parents looked entirely different. One of their parents. The other parents were literally extraterrestrials. That was the first group. Then with a certain shock perhaps came in when those people realized that their parents were not just ETs, like they had thought living with them, but they were partially Earthling like the other group. Then they then went off, and some of them also mixed with the other group existing in Central Africa. Not entirely what you would consider perhaps your Negroid black race today, yes, but similar enough that you would see a strong resemblance. Also remember, we're referring here to easy terms you know from your own, particularly your Americas region, we're referring to skin color as race. But different genetic groups that have much different genes might still be referred to either one race or the other by your people on Earth. So as you're saying, race as a social construct, correct? We're just referring it to like in a police register. But genetic groupings existed for a longer time, looking similar but having different abilities. We don't want to go too much on tangents here, because there is really no scientific reference on your Earth, because people on Earth have not fully understood who they are and where they come from. Many because they're too afraid, many of them because they're too afraid of those that look different from them, many of those that too are afraid of themselves or what they might find inside themselves. But their ideas, those different groups that start to exist in this fashion, had a conflict about if it's alright to mix certain racial groups with others or not. And many that mixed their genes with others then told the people that became the offspring of that mixing that they were not supposed to mix either. But then they thought, if our parent race did it sooner or later, then we can do it also, etc., etc. And that's how you get different groups that had a lot of conflict. Today you have a lot of conflict over money, correct? On your Earth.
Right.
Back then, when there was no money, most conflicts existed over genes. Not so much just racial groups have war with each other, in the idea this group looks different from us, we need to fight against them. That happens sometimes between species, but not necessarily between your head as monkey groups. For what we perceive, they often had what you consider a multicultural society on spaceships, yes? Sometimes even different species, at least higher evolved dimensionalities, yes? 6, 7 upwards, usually much easier to interrelate in this regard because the physical dimension plays less of a role. However, lower dimensionalities, there's usually humans sticking together for what we're aware of, but many different races. Then, however, many of their idea gene mixing is a great idea. Let's create new offspring, let's see what happens. It's very curious. Usually those that just learned how to use genetic engineering. Then others, some older ones often interfering, saying that's wrong, don't do so, or you lose certain groups. And then there's a conflict. And then, for example, as you have this collective trauma in this regard, mixing one race with another that's a different genetic line, then your offspring is again taught not to mix, but then they do it again secretly, but tell their offspring not to do it, etc., 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 etc. Going all the way up to your folk called apartheid in Southern Africa, for one example, or your look into Russell's mind, Jim Crow, yes, in your United States, correct?
Yeah, Jim Crow. Yeah.
Yes, many of you are simply repeating what you were taught by the gods. Or look at ancient Greece, for example, and the war between the gods, correct? And then look at your planet today. Many of you are simply acting out what's in your genes as memory from those that created you much later. Also, your whole monetary system is built on that. Your most recent sort of conflict, but before again, it was mostly about genes. And then certain genetic offspring was not allowed to have certain technological tools, yes? They were considered too... It was interesting to some to play with genes. And then some also thought their offspring was sexy, yes? And they literally fucked their kids, so to speak, yes? And then they considered they are interesting. They're like our Uncle Toms, they're our pets, they're whatever. We like them, they're supposed to be more in our vicinity rather than the other group. Or another race, but this group is ours, they're more close to us, they're supposed to be with us, but they should not have access to the toolbox, so to speak, yes? Don't give them the key to the rifle, yes? Don't give them the key to the weapons closet, right? But at some point they grew to a state where they considered, well, you created us, we should be on par with you, we should be allowed to ask this, and then in the same parent race you have a conflict, let's give the children the keys, or else saying that's not, and then they also war with each other over if their offspring would have it, etc., etc. And what happened after the fall of what you saw Atlantis in the most recent timing is the idea many of the Maldekians, so to speak, died off, or Martians, or whatever you want to call them, depending where they just came from, and only few were left, particularly in the European peninsula. Some of them then, yes, became the aristocracy. Not yet the Illuminati, just the aristocracy of that particular region. Of course, Asia also has the aristocracy with a little different history. We're just referring to this particular group that was connected to Atlantis, as the Asian region and their whole ancestry is much more connected to Mu, and they also came much later. Now, however, this particular group had created what you consider perhaps early royalties, the Roman Empire, Egyptian Empire, etc., Greece, which then later became different families that mixed with other certain families from Mesopotamia and had their own reign there, consider themselves superior for other reasons, then created what you consider perhaps the Illuminati in modern times. Not names are important, you get the idea what's behind such. However, many of the people in the European peninsula also consider themselves at this point to be the true rulers of Earth, yes? They consider themselves to be superior because they have more genes of this group of the gods, but the gods being nothing but a few people left, right? Because their peninsula went underwater, they were cut off from the original planet, and then were they then simply overthrown, right? Something like your French Revolution, for example, just much earlier. Your whole history there is a whole history of one group enslaving the other, dominating them, then the other group rising to the same idea, some revolution happening, new group comes to the surface, new group then says, now we are the rulers, etc., etc., etc. Of course, just looking from this perspective that you inquire in the idea, should the children have the matches or the key to the weapons closet? Of course, you can look at Earth's history also in the idea between us and the Federation and our different implementation of different rulerships, what either side thought correct or incorrect. Then, of course, you have the idea of the Federation. Everybody should have no equal rights, even though it's not what they practiced in the beginning either, right? Like you're, again, referring to modern times, your American continent, Declaration of Independence, equal rights for everybody, but some people are more equal than others. Or your Marxist idea, who was also someone from the Federation, as we are well aware of, yes. Their idea of Jesus person also, right? The whole idea everybody's created equal, you give everybody equal access, but then you get a political party, like in North Korea, that's more equal, right? It's also to large degree create a human psyche to conduct those things that way. After all, a lot of conflict that you're experiencing, again, you're appealing from the gods. But let's not get too far off here, as your idea was maybe technological. Then, of course, the different groups on Earth also considered they should be rulers, no longer the former rulers, but the other people that they were considered to be too wild should also be under their control. And that's also when you get the abuse of power, as you call such, yes, and technology. Of course, looking from an outside perspective. Now, there are many ways where you could take this further on, much more details to the story, but perhaps you have one particular inquiry while you fill water in the vessel.
Okay, yeah, that's quite a lengthy explanation. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to all that again. But yeah, thanks. It's really interesting. But I think that's all the time that I have to ask you questions today.